Black and brown folks don't want to go back for obvious reasons, by and large, and young people want to go forward. So I think it's a limited political trajectory.
The reason I asked you about the satire part is because you usually blast people for language like that, and you blasted people before. And let's read some of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on one second. I'm gonna do this one more time. For whatever reason, my personal server here went down just now. For whatever reason. So I'm going to do this one more time for you guys. Let's see if my server is going to go down again, all right?
The Tea Party and other conservatives may be celebrating Tuesday's election results, but some people are fuming.
Wow, really?
He has been a regular guest on this show. He has blogged on his website a withering rebuke of what he calls the white right. He begins with a disclaimer that he is not referring to all white people and that his essay is not anti-white. He says it is addressed to, quote, the white community that is right-wing. Tim Wise joins us now from Nashville. Okay, Tim, so I'm glad you joined us. Thank you so much, because I've been trying to get in touch with you and get you to do this. I was actually, I have to be honest, a little bit stunned when I read this, because your language is unusually rough and raw. We know that you tell it like it is. You call the election results a temper tantrum, and you sound mad as hell. So you and I have talked before. Do you regret using any of this fiery rhetoric?
Well, no, not really, because I think, look, the right wing in this country, which is disproportionately, if you look at the exit polls, being fed by older white folks, has more or less declared war on the last 100 years of liberal and progressive progress. I mean, Glenn Beck calls himself a progressive hunter and says the main goal for Republicans should be to undo the legacy of progressivism, which is like the last century of human progress, civil rights laws, environmental laws, labor laws. So I think when you have a group that have declared war on that legacy, which is by and large a very positive one for this country and the world, the rest of us have to fight back, and sometimes the rhetoric does have to be raw. We can't always be friends and cooperate.
Tim, do you regret? You've gotten death threats because of this, haven't you?
Yeah, sure.
And
I mean, I don't like that, but you know, but the reality is the death threats are coming from people who very clearly don't have the capacity for reading comprehension. They are the ones who seem to think that in this piece, I'm blasting all white folks or calling for the death of white people. My goodness, I'm white, my wife is white, my kids are white, my entire family's white. It doesn't make any sense that I would do that kind of thing. What I'm saying is there are a lot of us white folks who reject the right, and in about 40 years, when half of the country are people of color who definitely lean progressive, even if there are only 25 or 30% of us in the white community who are progressive, that is going to be a political majority.
Okay, so
and my point in this letter was they need to enjoy their victories while they can, because they're not going to last forever.
So it's not sour grapes, and it's not satirical.
Oh, no. Oh, it's not satirical, and it's not sour grapes, primarily because, look, I'm not a shill for the Democratic Party. I've been very critical of the Obama administration, as you know. I'm very critical of Democrats. What I'm saying is that the right wing's time is limited unless they can figure out, and I don't think they have figured out, how to appeal to people of color and young folks. When your rhetoric is, we want to take the country back, black and brown folks don't want to go back for obvious reasons, by and large, and young people want to go forward. So I think it's a limited political trajectory.
The reason I asked you about the satire part is because you usually blast people for language like that, and you blasted people before. And let's read some of it. You said, I know you think you've taken your country back with this election, and of course, you have always thought it was yours for the taking, because that's what we white folks are bred to believe, that it's ours. And how dare anyone else say otherwise, but you are wrong. Tim.
Yeah. Well, that is what, now look, I've been white a long time, and I got to tell you that white folks in this country have long been led to believe that this is our country, that we are the prototypical American. I've done experiments with folks in workshops where you ask people to envision what's an all-American boy, an all-American girl, and virtually everyone has this image in their head of a white person. Now, that may be changing, and I think there are some folks on the right who don't like the fact that they have to share the designation of American with folks who pray different, look different, have different cultural traditions, but that's the truth. And that's the future, whether they like it or not.
All right, let's go on. You said, in the pantheon of American history, conservative old white people have pretty much always been the bad guys, the keepers of the hegemonic and reactionary flame, the folks unwilling to share the category of American with others on equal terms.
Right. And look, I think if you look at history, who are the folks who have been the most reactionary and regressive? It's usually been older white folks. Younger white folks often are in the front lines of the fight for social justice, and we should always remember that. What I think is especially dangerous about the older folks in the Tea Party movement in the white community is they are the last generation of white Americans who can nostalgically look back on the pre-civil rights era and think those were the good old days. The reality is those of us in the post-civil rights era thankfully can't remember those days enough to be gripped by nostalgia and longing for them. And I think the country will be better off when we are in a position of multicultural, multiracial America. That's the America of the future, not the America of the past.
And you're right about that. This is about the 1950s. You said there won't be any more white folks around who think the 1950s were the good old days, because there won't be any more white folks around who actually remember them. We'll be able to teach about them accurately and honestly without hurting your precious feelings. Okay, so you talked about that. This is one I wanted you to talk about Ronald Reagan here. You said you thought you had secured your position permanently after the overthrow of Reconstruction in the wake of the Civil War, after the elimination of the New Deal, after the Reagan Revolution, after the Republican electoral victory of 1994, and yet those you thought you had cowed and defeated are still here. So, I mean, people are going to accuse you of racism here. And the word they'll use is reverse racism. We know there's no reverse racism. Racism is racism no matter who it comes from.
Right. Well, I mean, I think people need to read more carefully. The reality is, and I've written about this many times, there have always been white folks who have stood shoulder to shoulder with people of color to make this country a better place. And so clearly, if I'm critiquing the white right, I am by definition excluding all of those white folks who have fought for justice. The good news is there have always been those people, and there still are. The better news is that in 40 years, when half the country are folks of color and half the country's white, it's going to be much harder for the right with their anti-immigrant rhetoric, their anti-Islamic rhetoric, and their rhetoric of taking the country back to a fictitious past to actually appeal to that increasingly black and brown America. And I think that's going to be a good day for those of us who believe in progressivism and social justice.
So are you, then people will say also, Tim, that everything that happened on Tuesday, that the people who were upset and the people who voted for Republicans to take over the House and all of that, the Tea Partiers, are you saying that they didn't have a point, that they should not have done that?
Oh, no, they can do whatever they like. I understand that they have the views they have, and they are free to have them. But the reality is those kinds of victories, going back to economic policies that frankly were ruinous for millions of folks of color and working class people, that's not going to endear you to those voters in future generations. So the point I'm trying to make is laugh it up, drink a big glass of champagne or pop a cold one or whatever it is you want to do, but understand that the clock is ticking and this country's future is going to be increasingly progressive unless those folks can figure out a way to appeal to the black and brown and frankly non-Christian folks who they often ignore and even ridicule.
Ladies and gentlemen, believe me on that. I think that brother strike a nerve of some people pretty well. And not only that, but also I think he's even talking some truth. If you ask me personally, I seriously think that he's speaking some truth. And the reason why I say that, it's simple. The way he put it is very much black and white. For real. That's how it really is, in black and white. And until these people can bridge that gap between color and race and all these things, and old and young, then we'll find ourselves heading forward. There's no taking back or going backward. No one is going to go backward. Now, there's another story that I like to share with you guys, and it's another interesting story. But I'm going to do this song right here to complement that piece right there. This is Ian Sweetness' New Day, and it definitely is a new day, ladies and gentlemen, right here on World Premiere. Believe me. No, sir, I can't believe it. What it is what it is, and what it is what it will be, and what it will be is what it will remain right here on planet Earth, all right? Trust me on that.
Yeah. When I rise in the middle, I make sure that I pray. Thanks, Heavenly Father, for letting me see another day. First the kids for school, then I send them on their way. Then back to the room to see you in lingerie. On the road with you till our hair turn gray. All I got to say, I wouldn't have any other way. All bills paid, couple 100,000 saved. My eyes always tell what my lips and never say.
The windows of my eyes reflect the mirror of my soul. I like my eyes closed in the morning. The story I can tell about the things that I have done. I like my eyes closed in the morning. It's a new like my eyes closed in the morning. The story I can tell about the things that I have done. I like my eyes closed in the morning. It's a new day, brand new day. It's a new day. It's a new day. Every morning. It's a new day. It's a brand new day.
A new day, ladies and gentlemen, and that's surely what it is. Now, this segment right here is designed to teach us a few things, because it's Flex FM. We're here to inspire, educate, and entertain. And of course, when we say educate, this is what we're doing right now, educating the youths as they grow along. Now, this other piece that I'm about to share with you guys is a piece that, and you know what the funniest thing is? For some strange reason, as I started to broadcast this message, my system went down. Seriously, how ironic was that? I don't know, for real. Now, that's a little bit strange if you ask me, for real. But what we're going to do right now is show you another piece that I want you guys to listen carefully. Really take the time out and listen. All right? Very, very important that you guys listen. This piece right here. Cool? All right.
When you heard of Homer, the first European to have written anything, you couldn't miss that. They said that Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. And that was not until 833 BC. The Africans had already, in 255,000 at the Tassili Mountain, they had the Sibyllian period, first, second, and third, the pre-dynastic period, all the way up. The Africans had produced men like this, Imhotep, the multi-genius that designed the step pyramid of Saqqara, the first man to be a physician that even Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine, is giving him credit and calling him the god of medicine. The Greeks changed his name from Imhotep to Aesculapius. There he is. There he is.
This gets into what you were saying. So wait a minute, you guys are telling me now that black men taught Homer, and
As a matter of fact, went to Egypt to school.
as a matter of fact, the Egyptians said Homer was Egyptian, not Greek.
That's right. It's only the Europeans said that. The Westerners now said he was. But let us go back. Remember that Homer himself said in the Odyssey what? That the gods Zeus and Apollo, Europe's first gods, came from Ethiopia. Go read it. And I didn't write it. He wrote it. Thales, from Thales down to Socrates, and Socrates down to Aristotle, which they call the pre-Socratean philosophers and the post-Socratean philosophers. Each and every one, including Plato, who spent 15 years in Egypt receiving their education.
You're saying Plato was educated in Egypt?
15 years.
See, what
Before that, you heard nothing of him. Every one of them.
What you'd have me believe then also, so part of what you said last night is that Plato and these guys went back home, and they were big guys. But they were taught in Egypt? Is that what you said?
They came there for their education.
And they said it. They didn't hide it. It's the modern writers, the modern instructors and professors who trying to deny it.
You can't have in a racist school in Birmingham non-racist education.
Let me get to something you said last night that's not going to make you very popular in this town and may not allow you to get safely out of town. You told an audience last night that you saw, I think, in a tomb in Egypt.
Yeah.
You saw it with your own two eyes, right?
Yes.
You told me that Moses, there were more than 10 commandments. Moses just took
42. There were negative confessions. Moses isn't supposed to have been born until 1349 BC. The Africans were already in the 18th dynastic period. Akhenaten, who died before Moses was born, and Imhotep, who died more than 2,000 years before the birth of Moses, and others at the Grand Lodge of Mem had 42 laws called now the negative confession, one for each nome. They go like this: I have not killed man nor woman. I have not spoken ill of the gods. Moses is supposed to be born in Egypt, they said, at a place called Sukkot. Already, it says that Moses got the 10 commandments of Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is still in Africa, right? The Sinai Peninsula is a part of Egypt. More so, is it possible for Moses to be born in Egypt, educated in Egypt? At age 85, he's still in Egypt, and he did not learn the negative confessions? Is it possible for you to go to school, born in the United States, go to kindergarten, elementary, junior high school, and college, and never heard of the United States Constitution, then it would have been impossible for Moses, when everybody had to read the negative confession 5 times a day, for Moses not to have seen those 42 laws and extracted 10 of them, leave 32 more. Now, if you could go to the temple of Setaiwan at Abydos, to go to the tomb of Ramesses VI at the Valley of the Kings, go to the temple of Edfu, where you would, by the way, see the story of an immaculate conception and a virgin birth 4,100 years before the Mary and Jesus story.
As a matter of fact, wait. No,
Let me understand. Let me just put it in form of a question then. I mean, I don't want to stop this, because we're here for information. But what you're trying to get me to believe is that Moses didn't get the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai, but he got them
From his fellow Africans.
Moses was the high priest in Egypt, a high priest of the Egyptians in Egypt. Then what was he teaching? He wasn't a high priest of the Jews.
There were no Jews in those days. They called them. Remember now, there was no Israel yet. Israel is not until 1196. And when we to hear of Abraham, Avram as he was called, coming into Egypt, the Africans already in Egypt, already in the 14th dynastic period when he shows up. All of the pyramids are built. That's another thing. Everyone, the 62 pyramids in Egypt were built before the first Jew was born.
Why was he fleeing from the Pharaoh?
Let me ask
What
you
was the
something.
charge?
I can write anything when I want to write, you know. Who's going to stop me from writing if I got the power?
I was about to ask you, what kind of trouble do you get into for holding these kind of views?
Oh, the other day, a black sister spat in my face, and because she couldn't take that. She couldn't take that Jesus was black. She said, no. I mean, he had no color. If he didn't have no color, how John the Baptist saw him to baptize him?
Do you realize that you're getting at the foundation, that you're shooting and digging away at the foundation of what most of us grew up believing?
Yeah, well, we believe a lot of things for a long time. One thing, they give us 3 pages in the Bible. Slave, obey your master. And that's what we believe for the longest time. They said that Jesus said, so how would Jesus, who fought the system, say to the slave, obey your master? They didn't sound rational with it. So, look, most of the things, we're in a European system. You could come to this university and spend 4 years, go back and spend another 2 for your masters, and another 1 or 2 for your doctorate, and never had any course at all about Africans. But every day you come here, you got courses about Europeans. This is an extension of European culture, European belief, European racism. And it has no intent of teaching about the Africans. The Africans built the Europeans' first university, the University of Salamanca in Spain. These are historical records. It's just like...
Okay, one of the things you said last night is that it's not just black people who are saying these things.
No. Most of this information are written by white.
In white books.
It's just that they don't emphasize it in the classroom. As a matter of fact, let me back you up when you open up the discourse. We were speaking about Columbus. None of them in here, none of the listening audience, even in the air, had the faintest idea that in the life of Columbus, when after his death, his family had to go to court because charges was raised, and this is in the record in the Vatican, in the secret archives of the Vatican, that Columbus was shown a map of where the Queen of Sheba that Dr. Ben spoke about, this black woman who had mated with Solomon and produced the son, Menelik I, and they lived more than 900 years before the birth of Jesus, had already sailed through what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, came to lands to the west that was longer than Africa and Europe combined, and that, brother, is North, South, and Central America.
May I add this? Right here at this university they teach, and I've just been here a few days, right? A day. They teach in this institution because it's the same as Cornell anywhere, that Hippocrates was the father of medicine. He's not until 333 BC. Let me read this for you.
Okay, you teach at Cornell, is it?
I teach at Cornell also.
They let you teach this kind of stuff at Cornell?
They teach it now, I'm there.
Okay.
1700, in 1700 BC, that's 1400 years before Hippocrates, you can find the Kahum medical papyrus. Papyrus is paper.
Okay.
A compendium of information about women's diseases and pregnancies. In 1600 BC, that's 1300 years before Hippocrates, the Edward C. Smith Papyrus, a comparative surgical text and anatomical inquiry. It especially deals with the spinal column. 1550, let me jump to one here. The Ebers Papyrus. there is the whole book on it, a medical paper by Queen Hatshepsut, the first known queen in history, an Egyptian queen, a papyrus designed to show women how to develop a method to stop pregnancy, to insert into the vagina, made of the shrub of acacia and honey, which break down into lactic acid. Not only that, Monsanto, DuPont.
So we're talking about birth control.
Birth control in 1550 BC by the Africans.
It's a long time before the pill.
A few days before.
But keep in mind, however, keep in mind that Europe is not yet in history. European history.
All I ask one at a time.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead.
The civilization began. Homer have not written his Iliad and Odyssey. And the hero.
Okay, all the stuff that you're saying we can find this.
Look, I ain't nothing say if it's not here, it's either in Doc's library or mine back in New York. Nothing we take for granted.
Or the books that we brought down.
And you said they're not all written by black men.
No.
Anacalypsis.
Anacalypsis is written,
Okay.
look now.
Okay.
Anacalypsis is a 2-volume work by Sir Godfrey Higgins, written in 1838 in England and published by Watson Company. The Golden Bough is a 13-volume book by Sir James Fraser, published simultaneously in the United States and England, and it was published in 1938. Bible Myths and the Parallels in Other Religions, written by Thomas W. Downes, and is published in 1887 by Watson Company, London, England. The Ruins of Empire by Councier Volney is published, there it is. It's published in 1792 by simultaneously in England and France, done by a man who was with Napoleon de Bonaparte.
Let me just say this about that. If we just give you the benefit of the doubt and consider what you're saying to be true, I mean, you are chipping away at everything we've ever been taught, most of what we believe.
But you were taught it as slaves. Nobody.
Slave in 3 pieces?
Yes. We are no longer physical slaves, but we are mental slaves. And this is the worst form of slavery. Some of us believe that the Cadillac and the house on the beach makes us free. But it's the mind that makes us free.
Well, I'm just glad I have to ask the questions and don't have to see any of this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you that, deep. Talk about deep. Yes. Way deep. And these brothers are talking some facts, and they're not even looking at any script, or they are not looking at any journal. They're just talking it right off the top of their heads. I mean, that's who you call some researchers. Believe me, that's what I'm telling you. Reading is definitely fundamental, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when you listen to stories like that, and to the one that I actually played previously, now I'm just saying, and listen, I'm entitled to just lay my opinion on the table. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit to the first synopsis that I played earlier, soundbite that I gave earlier. All right. Now, when you look into it, and these people are talking about some things about from the other parts of the world, you see how they all come together in one conjunction, yo. You see that? You see how they all conclude? Now, when these men manipulate the thing from, because what I take from that was Moses was one of those highly respected person back then as well. All right. And that's why on the fence on a Thursday when Gracie and I are butting head about the biblical aspect of stuff. Sometimes it's way deeper than the Bible, But, Gracie as a Christian doesn't really understand, because it goes way further than what has been written there. Now, you can get the book 50 Shades of Grey, right? And you get this book now, and you read it, and when you finish read it, you said, oh, it's a real good book, you liked and everything. And then here comes part 2. So why everything in part 2 wasn't in part 1? Because there was even more to be told. That's why them come out with another book, part 2, it becomes a sequence now. Just like that's the way I see the Bible. No, they say Moses, no, and it's real now. Look, if Moses has been living in this place, and he's been taught by these people for how many years, right? And he lives up until what, 80 plus, 90 plus, what? Moses lived to about 100 and something years old. Not quite sure, don't quote me on that, all right? Now, and you're living in this country that have these laws, 40 plus and you only take 10 out of it and make that 10 mandatory. What happened to the rest? That's the question. For real. That's the question. So, as knowledgeable and educated as he was as a young man, because don't feel like back in those days, those people were illiterate, you know. For real. They were very much knowledgeable of everything that they were doing, the way they make compasses, the way they could tell the time, the way they know how to defeat an enemy, how to build pyramids, how to build castles and all these things. It doesn't take fool to do that or uneducated people to do that. It doesn't, for real. But if you can backtrack a bit, ladies and gentlemen, all right, and backtrack a bit with me, with all these movies that you have seen, with the biblical days, and who do you see laboring to build these castles for these kings? Were they men and women dressed up good and coming out like a regular 9 to 5, working and getting paid after? Or they were men being lashed to carry bricks and top of bricks and top of bricks? Right? Picture that to them. Picture all those movies I used to watch back then coming up as a child. And all these movies of, they're all these people, the Game of Thrones that you see right now, today's date. And what do you see with all these men? It's not that they have a regular 9 to 5. They were being lashed to carry bricks and so forth. Bring it forward to slavery now. See how long this thing has been going on? That's how long this thing has been going on, you know. Before Christ. For real. That's how long. So, when Jesus Christ came on earth and all these things, remember, it's just like the walk that Martin Luther King walking on. And he did the preaching like Martin Luther King preached. But Christians today not going to look at it like that, Because remember, if they really comprehend or stop for a minute and really think that when this man come, didn't he come in the form of a man? Just like the A. Selassie, just like the Malcolm X, just like the Gandhi, just like the, you know what I mean? Every other great man that walks the earth. So, you tell me now, on the real, what's the difference? You tell me now, on the real, that he died like all these great men. He died at a tender age like these great men died at a tender age too. For real. So, when I look into it, I just be critical in my thought, in the way I think about these things. And I just don't see it because someone can read the Bible and quote the Bible from the back to the front. And I'm going to say this. No, I'm going to look at things from the real perspective, ladies and gentlemen, what is currently right now. Just the way those guys look at it from that perspective. And that's what it really is. And we've been blindsided and shadowed because of the education that we have been getting from centuries ago to today. So it's good that when you at this age and this stage in your life can think and think freely and state your opinion and stand by it. Do some legwork and get some facts and put it together, because the facts are there. It's the time that is not there. The facts are there, ladies and gentlemen. What is not there is the time. So if you can find the time to gather the facts, believe you me, you'll be so educated and so well on your way from to emancipate yourself from that slavery that we are under right now, which is that mental slavery. As the first synopsis soundbite that I played, when him said, this is how these guys think from centuries ago. 50, 60, 80, 100 years ago. This is how they think that this is supposed to be and this is the way it's gonna be. And times have changed. We're not riding horses anymore. For real. What we're doing now, we're driving cars and things have evolved and it's different and they cannot grips to changes that is being made. So when it comes on to this time of the year when you're being, bombarded with all these commercial and the campaign and who you want to elect to run the country and who say they can do this and do that, just think back, ladies and gentlemen. Stop and think before you even cast your vote. And ask yourself this question. Changes. Who is competent enough? Who is trustworthy? Who have the experience? Think like an employer, because that's what you are, voters. An employer. For real. So stop for a minute and think like an employer. Yes, because that's what we are doing when you vote them in. You're employing them. So think and look at all the candidates that's running right now. And to think, say, is there, what can you do different from what haven't been done umpteen years ago? What's your motive? For real. One-on-one question. These are some questions you need to ask these people. For real. Honestly. And that's my opinion to all this whole thing, because I see it clear as day. Now, another thing that I want to get your attention to, ladies and gentlemen. And some of you probably want to voice your opinion. You know, it's 954-343-5944. Yeah? It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. If you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever you are. All right? This forum is here that you can voice your opinion on. It's 954-343-5944. Now, let me say this. All right? Why isn't something as critical to our well-being as us being human? Why we have to pay so much for it? Things such as education. Why teachers are not being well paid as lawyers and doctors, and their job, they are the one who's educating the lawyers and the doctor. Why isn't their paycheck surpass that? But yet still, you the students are pay a arm and a leg. Have you ever asked yourself that question? A teacher is one of the most underpaid person in the world. Not just here in the US, ladies and gentlemen, or in the Caribbean. It's in the world. Compared to a doctor, compared to a lawyer. And let me ask this question. Who were the one that stood there in the front of that classroom to educate these individuals so they can get a higher pay? Who? So why isn't their paycheck reflect on their work status? Why is that job description? Nobody wants to be a teacher today. Because it's not, it can't cut it. If you know it cannot cut it. No, let's bring it forward. Why isn't education free? Why for you to get a higher learning to cost you higher bucks? Then you ask yourself this question again. Why am I voting you in? How can you help me? How can you help us? Ladies and gentlemen, these are some questions you have to ask yourself. Because these are some things supposed to be free. There's countries out there that is less fortunate than the United States, and their educational system is 10 times better than the United States. And the reason why I say that, because some of them education is free. Why isn't healthcare free? Why isn't some of these things that are critical to us not free? Because this is how we can make money. We can make, you're half sick, you know. So it's a good way to make money, you know. You see what I'm saying here? You're most sick. So hey, why not make it, if we make healthcare free, then the country are going on deficit now. So you know what got me now? We have a recession because healthcare is free. And why I think the other party want to reform or return or retract or get rid of the health plan that is here. That is not even free. It's not even free. It's probably affordable, but it's not free. For real. So, I don't understand why you want to get rid of it. What is your personal gain? Why you want to get rid of it? Why is it, ladies and gentlemen, when you go take out a loan, why is it the interest rate have to be so high? Sometime by the time you done pay off the interest rate and start pay off the loan itself, you hold on with away. Have mercy on us, no man. Jesus Christ, man. Seriously. Our grandparents, them can't even vacate at them old age. So when you going to get a good vacation? When, what time? To the system set, there's none for you. So you have to ask yourself your question when you're electing these people, when you're employing these people to run the country. What have you done for me lately? Give them a Janet Jackson, man. Ask them the question. For real. I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, because I see my time winding down. All right? When it comes on to the biblical aspect of Christianity and all these things, be critical in your thoughts and in your mindset. I'm not telling you to be a Christian or don't be a Christian. I'm just saying think clearly about it. Have a voice. Read if you have to. So therefore you can have a voice. All right? When it come on to the laws and the amendments and so forth, in whatever country you reside, understand it. Read it. That way you can have a voice. Because there's a whole lot of glitch. It's not a perfect system. They know it. And you don't know it. So you see that slavery that you're under mentally, that's why they will always get you and they will always have you in that slavery, my people. Because you don't know it. It's not everything they want you really know, for real. And when you do start research and find out, you hear that you become a has-been, for real. All of a sudden you're just dead from cancer. All of a sudden you have lungs this. Or all of a sudden you have this. Or all of a sudden you have HIV. Or all of a sudden you're abstinent now, but yet you have HIV. And all of a sudden you have all these things. Yeah. So, and this has been proven over and over and over and over. Once you dig too deep to find the truth for 5, set yourself free, then here comes the freedom. Death. Real talk. And this is what happened. And I'm telling you this. Some unfortunate incident happened. Car accident happened. Or there was a story I saw just today. A lady actually recorded a police officer. Watch the dilemma now, my people. Watch the dilemma. This lady recorded a police officer speeding, doing 90, probably in a 65, and he didn't have his emergency light on. So she pulled him over. And she tell him that he was doing that. And what she did, she put her cell phone on the thing and record it. So, watch the joke now. It came out in the news the next day. She sent the footage to the police station. She sent a footage to the television station. She sent a footage to the police station. No, you know what the police them did now? There's this big book. This file came out on the woman. She have several traffic citations, driving with a defective vehicle, she gets cited for driving without seatbelt, cited for driving without a driver's license, gets cited for driving with a suspended license, gets cited for, and all these things. No. The moral of this is, she was just being a good citizen by just saying that she's not trying to paint them as anything bad. And she's showing that, hey, listen, it's like a citizen's arrest kind of thing, but no one get arrested. But the thing about it is, now she brought this up saying that, see, they're breaking the law. But now, for some reason, the entire media and the station turn it around on the woman, making she look like the bad person now. No, you see how it's done? That's how it's done, you know. For real. No, you're doing or thinking that you're doing a good deed. And you're saying to the cop that, listen, you go too fast, you know, they break the speed limit 90 and you don't have an emergency light on. And sometimes, you know, for real, you know, they do abuse that privilege, you know, because they are in a one of those government vehicle. They do that at times. But why? Why you as a citizen can't say anything? For real. Why? Why is it? Look at times when, you know, a cop does something that is not on the books, but don't get called upon it. Why? Why you can't say anything? But if you do the same act, you did the same act, believe you me, you're going to sit down in one of them cell there or something for it. So why it doesn't apply to you? It's very much unfair. Very, very much unfair. And that's what we're talking about. And that's what we need to look into when we're electing these individuals. Somebody who can stand up for you and say, yo, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Not because you have on a shirt or a jacket or a tie, or not because you are in this position. If this individual here with a hoodie can be reprimanded for it, so can you in a uniform. And that's how it should go across the board. And whenever it starts going like that, then you'll see a much better country. It will take time, you know. Believe me. It's not overnight. Honestly. It won't happen overnight. But I am just saying this to you, the voters. Stop, think, before you cast a vote to either party, to any candidate whatsoever. Scrutinize them down like an employee you would. Call reference if you have to call reference. Yes. Check their track record and see how good or bad they are. And then you can evaluate that. When you finish evaluating that, you say to yourself, this is who I'm giving my X or my tick to. This is who I'm going to cast my vote with. Because remember, you are the employer. Alright? Just remember that, my peoples. It's 10 minutes to the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time for the quote of the day. And of course, it's from Chris Fashion, the brother who thinks very deeply. Alright? Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is our quote, and I quote, "No matter what situation in life you face, never make decision in a haste. Remember, haste make waste, and you may find yourself in a much more difficult place. So think carefully, take your time and wait. Remember, every decision comes with its own hardship. So when you make your choice, be careful how you pick. Because you might choose too quick and end up with the worst situation to deal with." Wow. How is that coincide with? I haven't read the quote of the day. I know it's there. I haven't read it. I didn't even know this have anything to do with those stories that I share. But they all comes in line. Now, ask yourself this question. Is that a coincidence? Or things that make you go, I shall read it again, ladies and gentlemen. Quote, "No matter what situation in life you face, never make decision in a haste. Remember, haste make waste. You may find yourself in a much more difficult place. So think carefully, take your time and wait. Remember, every decision comes with its own hardship. So when you make your choice, be careful who you pick. Because you might choose too quick and end up with the worst situation to deal with." Proverbs 25 verse 8 through 10. End quote. Need I say no more? Ladies and gentlemen, that's enough said. For real. Go forth, my peeps, and emancipate yourself. It's all about education. Educate yourself. Believe you me, go to the library if you can. Spend some quality time there. It's accessible on your mobile device right now. Anything you want to know is either YouTube, Google, or Flex FM. Believe me, it's accessible. Educate yourself. And you educating yourself can mean a better future for your kids, because you, in return, will educate your kids, and they'll educate their kids. It has been going on and it has been working for this long, and this is why we are in the situation that we are, because some kid has been educated and they're coming up and they're living and they're doing what they have been taught, and this is it. Educate your kids, ladies and gentlemen, for real. That's my time. I'm out of here until tomorrow. Join me, Gracie, and our guests tomorrow on The Fence, right here on Flex FM. I'm looking forward to be with you guys between 5 and 7. It will be a mind-boggling show. It will be one of those shows that is make you go, for real. Trust me on that, all right? So again, my people, I know that some people may agree with what I just said, and some people may disagree with what I just said. Some people may agree with the stories that I share with you, and some people may disagree with the stories that I also share with you. But one thing these two stories have in common is that both life were being threatened based on what they talk. Why your life should be threatened if you're talking your mind? Aren't we free to speak our mind and say what we have on our... So where does the freedom of speech comes in? It's free, but it should remain dumb. That's what it is. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been what it is, an awesome show today. It's world premiere. And I want to thank each and everyone who actually submit a song. I want to thank all those who currently got it locked in around the world right now. We have some people in England, people in, of course, Dubai. We have people in the Caribbean. We have people in Alaska. We have people in on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, Atlanta. We have people in Arizona. We have people in Texas. We have people in Mississippi. There are so many people listening to us right now, and I'm happy that I get to share this story with you all. All right? Thank God for the internet age. For real. Nora Voice is global. I like it. I like it a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes to top of the time for me to get about here. I want to thank our affiliates, Big Links 51, Starlight Traffic Jam, Crazy Vibe Family. Those of you who are listening via your mobile phone, simple meaning of dial 702-489-0213. I want to thank those of you who are listening us via our website, flexfm.com, or you're on mixlr.com, or you're on Ustream.tv. You type FlexFM in your search engine. If you have downloaded the Mixlr or the Ustream app to your mobile device, thank you so very much for doing so and logging on at this time and listening to our show. We do appreciate it. We're looking forward to see you tomorrow right here again on the Flex. Keep it locked. Rick Small is in the building. The brother's going to cruise away with you, so stick and stay with him. All right. In the meantime, it's a new day here on Flex FM. I'm riding out with this one. I like it. I like it a lot. Can I say I love you? I love you guys.
Father, let me see another day. First the kids for school, then I send them on their way. Then back to the room to see you in lingerie. On the road with you till our hair turn gray. All I got to say, I wouldn't have any other way. All bills paid, couple 100,000 saved. My eyes always tell what my lips and never say.
The windows of my eyes reflect the mirror of my soul. I like my eyes closed in the morning. The story I can tell about the things that I have done. I like my eyes closed in the morning. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day. Every morning. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day. Every morning, my eyes will always tell what my lips will never say. I like my eyes closed in the morning. The story I can tell about the things that I have done. I like my eyes closed in the morning. It's a new day, brand new day. It's a new day. It's a new day, every morning. It's a new day. It's a new, brand new day. Each and every morning, waking up with the one, and I'm seeing her again.
Waking up to your faces and amazing grace. How sweet the sound, but it's an even sweeter taste. Every curve on your body makes my heart race. This love is true, let's set a date. To say I do, but I can't wait to walk down the aisle and what can take your place. Waking up to a brand new day, with 24 hours to a brand new face.
It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day. Every morning. Each and every morning. Brand new day. Brand new day. Every morning. Each and every morning. The day is so bright. Every morning. It's a new
Ladies and gentlemen, the time now by Flex FM and their athletes know exactly.
The time is exactly 8 o'clock.
Keep it locked. Rick Small is up next right here on the Flex, all right?
This is a public service announcement. If you're riding, please remember to wear your helmet. If you're driving, remember to fasten your seatbelt. Do not text while driving. Remember always to be on alert for any pedestrians. This has been a message from the Safety Department of Flex FM.